On December 27, 1892, Livingstone and Biddle College, now known as Johnson C. Smith University, played in Salisbury, North Carolina, with Biddle winning 5-0. Over time, HBCU football has evolved. HBCU football's popularity continues to rise. Millions attend games each year and millions more watch on television. The HBCU bands provide some of the top entertainment in the country. Over that time, some of the best players to ever play in the National Football League played at HBCUs. Every Monday through Friday on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast, national radio and television host Donal Ware takes a look at what's happening in HBCU football and talks with coaches, players, administrators, and media about the season. Make sure you join the conversation on social media. Now, here's your host, Donal Ware.
You've got it locked to this Manic Monday edition of the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. For today, Monday, September 18th, I'm Donal Ware. Hope you had a wonderful, wonderful weekend as we completed week 3 in HBCU football. And as we do each Monday on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast, we're going to run down the scoreboard from week 3, which you can also view on our website at BOXTOROW.com. Things got kicked off on Thursday night. Bethune-Cookman falling to Miami 48-7. Saturday games, Florida A&M defeated West Florida 31-10. Florida A&M went out, handled its business against a Division II opponent at home. Southern defeated Alabama A&M 20-10. That game was played in Baton Rouge. And for the Jaguars, their first victory of the season. It was Mississippi Valley State falling to Delta State 35-7. And I'm going to have some more thoughts about this on Takeaway Tuesday. Really, things are not going well with the Mississippi Valley State program at all because you have two dynamics here, and I'll break it down a little bit more tomorrow. A, you're going on the road to play a Division II opponent. 2, you get blown out by that Division II opponent. So things are not going well at Mississippi Valley State at all. Talk more about that on tomorrow. It was a shootout, over 100 points at Texas State, but Jackson State fell to Texas State 77-34. It was Prairie View A&M. Oh, the Panthers got shut out by SMU 69-0. In a great football game, it was Arkansas Pine Bluff defeating Miles 21-20. Arkansas Pine Bluff had to come back to defeat Miles, who was 2-0 on the season. Alcorn State with a nice victory, 17-3 over McNeese State. And those are the type of wins, out-of-conference wins, if you're an HBCU FCS program that you like to have. The Braves handling their business. Didn't play bad in the first 2 games necessarily against Southern Methodist was the first game, and then last week, I forget who it was another FCS opponent. But this time, Alcorn State comes away with the victory. Grambling State handling its business over Florida Memorial 58-22. It was Texas Southern falling at Rice 59-7. North Carolina Central went out to Los Angeles and was defeated by UCLA 59-7. Another one of my takeaways for tomorrow, Hampton defeated Howard 35-34 in DC. Okay, in the Battle of the Real HU, they had, I think, close to 17,000 there. And the Bison had a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter, lost that football game. I'm going to talk about the significance of that football game on tomorrow's HBCU Football Daily Podcast. Morgan State falling to Towson 20-10 in the Battle of Baltimore. Norfolk State goes on the road, travels up to Philly Falls to Temple 41-9. It was Delaware State falling to Richmond 38-9. For North Carolina A&T, first conference matchup in the CAA, fell to Elon 27-3 in a really big victory. Okay, this is a big victory. Tennessee State defeated Gardner-Webb 27-25, got a field goal with 9 seconds remaining, which put the Tigers over the top. That's a Gardner-Webb team that won last year's Big South, in essence, the Big South title game against A&T. It was a Gardner-Webb team that last week defeated Elon, and a Gardner-Webb team that's pretty good. It's a good program there, so that's a big win. Let's see if Tennessee State can get some momentum behind that victory, as Tennessee State now 2-1 and 1-0 in the Big South OVC. Tuskegee remains undefeated, defeated Central State 27-21. It was Bowie State defeating Shaw 21-7. West Virginia State is on a roll. It's won 2 straight games, both of those Mountain East games, 47-27 over Concord. It was Virginia State on the road defeating St. Augustine's 55-12. Benedict continues to roll, has allowed its first points of the season, only 7 to Lane, but scored 54 points. Big victory for the Tigers. Up in East Rutherford, New Jersey, it was Albany State defeating Morehouse 24-14. The Golden Rams get their first victory of the season. Arkansas Baptist falling to Southwestern Assembly of God's Southwestern Assembly of God 40-18. It was Langston. Langston now 0-2 on the season, lost to Louisiana Christian 35-22. Texas College fell to Ottawa 62-14. Allen came all the way back down big to Kentucky State. Allen remains undefeated, defeating Kentucky State 34-20. Fayetteville State gets a field goal as time expires, defeats Lincoln of Pennsylvania 20-17. I got it. The Lions lost the football game, but this Lions program has come a very long way. Fort Valley State had to come from behind to defeat Edward Waters 34-31. Actually, Fort Valley State had the lead early on. Edward Waters came back, took the lead, and then Fort Valley State late in the game was able to wrestle the lead back and hold on to win. Johnson C. Smith now 2-1 on the season, defeated Bluefield State 30-13. It was Virginia Union over Livingstone 28-20. Virginia Lynchburg falling to Merrimack 44-0. Savannah State over Clark Atlanta 28-21. Winston-Salem State gets its first victory of the season, defeats Elizabeth City State 24-7. And Lincoln of Missouri falling to Washburn 24-10. We must make note, and I think I've said this erroneously in maybe at least either last week or the previous week. Lincoln is no longer in the MIAA. It's independent now and going to rejoin the Great Lakes Conference. The Great Lakes Conference. Now, Lincoln left, the Blue Tigers left the Great Lakes Conference to join MIAA, but they flipped between these two conferences. I think this is the second time that Lincoln of Missouri is going to be in the GLC. So on tomorrow's edition of the HBCU Football Daily Podcast, I'm going to have some takeaways from week 3 in HBCU football. One of those takeaways is going to be from the Howard and the Hampton matchup. Another one of my takeaways is going to be about Mississippi Valley State as well, and as well as some other takeaways, some breakdowns of various games. Don't forget it depends on what time you're watching or listening to this podcast, but we will have the HBCU coaches and media polls. The Division II poll for the coaches comes out tomorrow, and then the players of the week will also come out today. Again, depending if you're watching this early, it'll be later on today. If you happen to be watching this around 4-ish or so, both the coaches and media polls and then the HBCU Football Daily Podcast would already have come out by then. So that's it for today's HBCU Football Daily Podcast. Again, don't forget to tell a couple of friends about the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. We're breaking it down for you each and every day. Well, Monday through Friday, really right here on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. You can watch on the Box to Row YouTube channel, and you can download and listen at boxtorow.com as well as iHeartMedia.com. Talk with you tomorrow.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. You can also listen to the podcast at boxtorow.com, iHeartMedia, or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to get your HBCU football fix on Box to Row with Donal Ware each weekend on the radio station near you, and on SiriusXM on HBCU, Channel 142, and on ESPNU Radio on SiriusXM, Channel 84. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Box to Row for the latest in HBCU football, and don't forget to tell a friend.